Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server and it's time to have a look at a new IFV that is coming in for the Germans. Now this is the PUMA VJTF. Now I thought this was the PUMA S1, but it turns out there's a million different variants of the PUMA and this one specifically is the VJTF. That means that it lacks certain features of the S1 and is designed for not very different roles, but slightly different roles than it. So there may even be in the future another PUMA that they bring in, which will have even additional features when it comes to its APS and also other stuff on it. It still has the MUZ system, which is around, but doesn't really do too much. But at the same time, it has a few other upgrades over the standard PUMA, which we've seen in the game for a long time. So what is the major difference between this PUMA, which sits at 10.0, and this PUMA, which sits at 10.7? Well, you can probably tell. It's this right here. This is the major one, the missiles that this one holds. Now you can see here, it says the 110mm MELS rocket launcher user cannon, and it has 4 rounds, even though only 2 of them are kind of sat here. What this equates to is the fire and forget missiles which are on it. Now, this is the first German vehicle that has access to the fire and forget missiles. There is a Lithuanian vehicle which is in the German tech tree, this one right here, the Vilkas, which has access to a very similar system. You can see it has access to the Spike LR2 MR, which is right here. And if we just fix this, there you go. You can see the launcher set up and then obviously the ammo down here. So this one gets 4 of the spikes, whereas right now, at least on the PUMA, the missiles are not marked, but my guess is there are also going to be spikes on the vehicle too. And this being the first tech tree vehicle that has access to this fire and forget stuff, and also the first German vehicle, is a big upgrade and also should be really nice for people, since if you went around during that event or didn't have time during that event, you still get access to the mechanics with the standard tech tree. Now, a lot of people are always down on the PUMA, never really understood it. It's a very powerful vehicle. It's got really good optics, really good gun, and also since they fixed the ahead ammunition, which is right here, it is able to do a lot as a support vehicle. This vehicle here just gives it an extra layer of anti-tank capability, which will make it a lot better. And that's why it's been increased to 10.7. Being increased to 10.7 is a bit of a problem though, because first of all, it puts you in the bracket of the top BR for ground, so you get up-tiered quite a lot, and also there isn't another 10.7 vehicle to run this with. So what you're going to have to do is run a 10.3 lineup with it if you want it as the top banger vehicle. Now for me, I think it's actually good enough to do that. Like, I really have a lot of respect for the PUMA. I really enjoyed it when I played it. Same as a lot of the other light German tanks at the higher BRs, they're really nice. But the fact that it doesn't have any 10.7s to run with it sucks, and I wish that was slightly different. From an aviation point of view, you're also in a bit of a rough place. You can see that you have like the F4F if you want to run it, but once again, they're all 10.3. There's no 10.7s, so you could just run the 10.3 lineup, stay out of that top tier matchmaking, and not have to worry about, running into 11.7s. But with the VJTF here, you do, and that kind of sucks. The armor is exactly the same as the standard PUMA. It has the array on the side. It also has the general shell, which isn't that thick, but the main armor of this comes from these external composite armors with nearer elements on the sides, but also the extreme angle that's on this thing. You can see the effective thickness actually gets to a point where you'll just ricochet all the time, so you have to be a bit careful of that. And the other part of the armor of this, or survivability of this, is the fact that you can go fully hull down. All of the crew is actually inside of the hull here, so you can just expose the turret and it's very hard to destroy you. The only thing you can really do is disable the PUMA if it is hull down, because you can take out the ammunition which is here and then it has to reload it for an extra belt. You can also take out, of course, its electro-optical active protection. You can take out its IRST and also LWR and optics and things like that to make it a lot harder to use. But generally, what you can't do is destroy the vehicle, which means that it can still scout, it can still do a lot of damage, even if you take out the ammo. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this launcher. Sometimes when you have launchers, so on stuff like the Dardo, for example, the Dardo has these external launchers which are on it, but if you actually hit them, then it explodes the vehicle. It's something that's really annoying and has been a problem for me for a long time. You can see how the launchers are technically connected, but they're connected by these little arms. But if you hit an ATGM, which is in one of these launchers, the vehicle will explode as if it's overpressured. For the PUMA, it'll be interesting to see if that happens with it. I don't think it will, if I'm honest. I think it will be fine. I'm pretty sure you'll just lose the ammunition and then that's it. The other thing that's also kind of annoying about the PUMA, it's now way more off-center than it was before because of this additional thing. It was always off-center. If you have a look here, like the turret is not symmetrical, which is one of those things you'll find on a lot of vehicles, but now it's even less symmetrical. And yeah, sorry for pointing that out if you get annoyed at those types of things. But one of the really cool things about it is it has a very powerful engine, means that it can motor around the battlefield really effectively. It has the good transmission, so you can go forward and backwards very well, and then also it has the very good targeting speed on the gun too, and the gun itself is the same. It's the 30mm, the MK30-2 ABM, so that hasn't changed. It has the same ammo, so you have the ahead ammo, you have the APFSDS that you can bring along too, and also you get the missiles stock, so you can, you know, use those pretty effectively. One of the problems that this vehicle has, which shows it's unfinished, is it doesn't have access to any camos, but it will do, I'm sure. It'll have the same camos as this one, which is just kind of sat over there. So what are you getting out of this thing? You're getting something which is a definite upgrade over the standard PUMA, which makes it an individual vehicle and really shouldn't have been added to the pre-existing one. A lot of people were asking for the PUMA to get access to a modification which would add the missile system to this, but the missile system does add an extra layer of weaponry to this and also an extra layer of use. And so therefore, if they decided to add it to this thing, what would end up happening is the standard PUMA would have just gone up in BR, it would have gone up quite a lot in BR, and if you don't have that missile launcher, then it's harder to use than previously. So having two separate vehicles means that you can bring them both in a lineup, and also at the same time, it means that you don't get crippled for having a vehicle which is, you know, which doesn't have access to the modification. So the spikes themselves that this has access to are obviously very good against light vehicles. If you're motoring around, one of the cool things that you can do is you can set up on a vehicle like this, fire it on the move, and then kind of move out. Now, understand in test drive, this like area is very different compared to what you'll see in a game. And this is something that catches a lot of people off guard with these missiles. So in test drive, it's very easy to kind of donk people and do damage to them. Sometimes it still screws up, which kind of shows you more of its like standard ability. But the idea is you can fire and forget these, even in like third person you can do it. And in the game, what ends up happening is sometimes you get really cool explosions which do a lot of damage, and sometimes you get absolutely nothing. And that is the difference between the different like vehicles themselves and also what they're able to do. You can see now the ahead rounds actually work, so this as a AA platform is a lot better than it was previously. It can actually do stuff. It takes a long time to reload the missiles, by the way, so once you've used them up, understand that you're going to be kind of sat there you know, for a long time on a capture point. Maybe they'll add the general stuff to it, but you can see we're actually getting hits with the ahead where previously we weren't, so switching between the rounds as well is super easy to do. So yeah, there is definitely quite a lot of niceties in the form of this vehicle, which is why I enjoy the PUMA. It also has good smokes, so you can use those pretty effectively. It has the drone, it has the really good thermals, it has the commander controls, it has a lot of stuff, making it very powerful. And with the aimer just being able to just fire, you know, a bunch of these things all over the place, especially if you are, you know, trying to hit targets from miles away. And it's just crazy to think about how you can just like sit here and then bang, 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 and then hit other things and then just keep doing that. But the RNG of these missiles is the biggest issue this thing's going to have. and that is where it kind of gets annoying using this thing. Like, sometimes you will just do a ton of damage, other times you will do literally nothing, and that is the problem, and why putting it to like 10.7 is a good idea, because of course, you know, you have all the other capabilities, but the problem is, if you are sat in an area where, you know, you try and use your missiles at the start of the game and then nothing happens, and then, you know, you try your best to reposition to get some more of them, but then you're stuck with just 30mm. At least you can still scout, you can still do stuff like that, right? But it's still not going to be as good as what it was previously, which is at a lower BR without the missiles themselves. So I think this vehicle will be really fun. Obviously there's a lot of fans of the Puma and a lot of fans that enjoy using the standard one. This one's basically the same, just with a slightly added capability. As always though, hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.